Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Contalk Web Series Part 1. I am Camille.
And I am Katrina, and we are your host for today's online event.
Alright, how's everyone? We've been on community quarantine for almost 3 months now. The virus is still out there, but we have to continue, right? Okay, before anything else, can we acknowledge the UAP chapters who are present with us today?
We are so overwhelmed with the amount of registrations we received. Of course, with the help of the UAP Manila Archizonian Chapter, we were able to gather participants from different chapters all over the Philippines. We would like to acknowledge the following: ADDU, Alabang, Baraswain, Batangas, Bohol, Bulacan, C4, Cagayan Valley, Camanava Hilaga, Capiz, Cavite, Cebu, Clark, CV, Daraga Cagsawa, Davao, Dumaguete, Elliptical, Hamili, IIEE Metro East, Ilocos Norte, Lawag City, Iloilo, Laguna, Legazpi, Leon Kilat, Leyte West, Mags, Makati Ayala Triangle, Makati CBD, Manila Alcadia, of course our partner UAP, Manila Archizonian, Manila Centrum, Manila Maharlika, Manila Santa Mesa, More Valley, Maynilad, Mount Canlaon, Nueva Ecija Palayan Central, Palawan, Pangasinan Dumaya, Pangasinan Scale, Pangasinan Dagupan, Pasig, PDC, Quezon City, Quezon Province, Rizal East, San Fernando Pampanga, San Juan Mandaluyong, San Juan Pinaglabanan, Sorsogon Kasanggayahan, Santa Maria East, Santa Mesa, Tarlac, Zamboanga Chavacano, Zamboanga. We also have friends from abroad who are present with us today: Bahrain, Dubai, Singapore, Qatar, and Riyadh, KSA. Alright, thank you so much for joining with us today. So, what is Contalk? Contalk, or Construction Talk, is an annual event of SCG that aims to explore various trends and practices in architecture. This year, in partnership with Mariwasa, Contalk aims to tap talented and revolutionary architects who design and shape not only our infrastructure but also our future, firmly believing in their power to bring forth an ideal circular future for Filipinos.
For the past years, SCG is organizing an actual face-to-face Contalk event. But with what's happening in our surroundings right now, and of course, embracing the new normal, we've decided to launch the first ever Contalk Web Series.
We at SCG and Mariwasa, together with the United Architects of the Philippines Manila Archizonian Chapter, brings you Contalk Web Series Part 1 entitled COVID-19 plus Architecture X Planning, the Aftermath.
To introduce our keynote speaker, may we call on SCGM Digital Marketing Head, Mr. 𝘾𝘊𝘑.
Thank you, Ms. Camilo. To intro our speaker is an architect who is into sustainable architecture, lighting design, construction management, consultancy, and academic research. He is a graduate of BS Architecture at University of Santo Tomas and finished his Masters of Architecture in Construction Technology Management from Technological University of the Philippines. He is a seasoned speaker for professional speaking engagement for national and international conventions and conferences. He is also a licensed environmental planner, and become a professor at De La Salle College of St. Benilde BS Architecture program. He is the principal architect of 𝘕𝑒𝑠eño Design and Consultancy Services and a stakeholder of Tesalco Finishing Technology Construction Corporation. He is the longest-serving current national chair of UAP Committee on Balangkasan since fiscal year 2016 up to the present. Immediate two-term past chapter president of one of the oldest chapters in the United Architects of the Philippines, the UAP Manila Architects for Government Services chapter, having garnered its first UAP Best Chapter and Best Meritus Chapter awards in 38 years of existence during his leadership and service, where these led to the UAP having garnered its first International Diversity and Inclusion Award in partnership with Royal Institute of British Architects. He is also the Secretary General of the newly established umbrella organization for architecture professional, which is the Architecture Advocacy Federation Corporation. He was conferred as Fellow in the field of architecture by Royal Institution of Singapore. Now, he is the youngest college dean for architecture in the country, as being the dean for the third oldest architecture school in the Philippines, Adamson University. All of this were made possible for the love and passion of serving the architecture profession. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome our speaker for today, Architect Sylvester Sean David Senyo.
Hello, good afternoon sa lahat. So let me share the screen. Okay, I do hope you see me from the screen and you see the PowerPoint. Expect this is a really detailed presentation. I know you've heard plenty of seminars already with how architects respond to COVID-19. And they've shown projects, response facilities. But the objective of this presentation is the explanation of different principles and theories about dealing with pandemic. So the topic is COVID-19 plus architecture times planning the aftermath. So let's discuss about coronaviruses. Actually, fever, flu, it belongs to the family of coronaviruses. So there are three major pandemics. There were three major coronaviruses that were shown here. From the right, this is a SARS-CoV-2 that was SARS-CoV-1 that was in Guangdong, China. That started in Guangdong, China in 2002. We have the MERS in Saudi Arabia in 2012, and recently, last year, December 2019, in Hubei, in Wuhan, China. So let's compare the sources. All of these are zoonotic. This came indirectly from animals. And actually, coronaviruses started in 1930 from the poultry farm. No? It started from it was discovered by the domestic poultry. It caused respiratory, gastrointestinal, liver, and neurologic diseases in animals. And of course, of all these coronaviruses, only 7 are fatal to us as humans. Some, which do not belong to the 7 coronaviruses that are fatal, cause the common cold for humans. So you see at the left is the boxed one. These are the recent statistics for the novel coronavirus. 6.6 million that were affected and around almost 400,000 deaths. And up to now, there is no vaccine developed yet, okay? Well, let's check the phylogeny of coronaviruses. You see here at the left is the zoonotic, it's the red box. And the viruses that circulate among humans is the green box, or the shaded light blue. So at the right is a family tree of those viruses based on their RNA, not the yolks from the ribonucleic acid. So here you see the ones boxed in red are the ones who are zoonotic, transmitted from animals to humans. And the other 4 boxes are the viruses that circulate among humans. No? So you see here, these are the species. Most of them are coming from bats. Now let's check the anatomy of the virus. There are several features we have that we may be able to target with drugs to break it down and stop it from entering the cells. You see here, at the middle is the ribonucleic acid enclosed in protein, the spike protein. These are the deadliest which replicate. No? They are coated with lipid membranes. The lipid membranes are the fatty layers, which the oily protective layer, which protect the deadly RNA. The RNA has to, we have to avoid the RNA from replicating inside the infected host, no? That's why the World Organization advised us to wash our hands within 20 seconds because soap attracts the oily part, the oily lipid membrane. Therefore, that oil which protects the RNA will go with the soap. That's why the RNA will be left without any protective lipid membrane covering, and the RNA enclosing protein will be killed already and goes towards the drain. Let's discuss about the relationship between ecology and COVID-19. The destruction of the ecosystem actually increases the pandemic risk. You see here the image at the left is a massive deforestation. Since World War II, hundreds of bacteria and viruses like SARS, Ebola, avian flu, Zika virus, human immunodeficiency virus, coronavirus have appeared in regions where they never previously existed. 60% of these pathogens came from animals. HIV came from the monkeys, actually, no? Yan. Destruction of the environment has led to humans settling in spaces closer to animals and consuming the same food sources. So imagine this image at the left. There were birds, or there were aviary species settling on those trees. Once those trees were deforested, these birds or aviary species will have no choice but to go where the humans live, and they share the common habitat. And there is a chance for cross-contamination. The closer proximity means the chances of a virus transmitting from an animal carrier to humans, it becomes higher. And while these viruses may not be harmful to humans, to animals, sorry, they can be to humans. Now, you see here the image at the left is the subdivision with the agricultural land. Sooner or later, because of population growth, we will eat up on those arable lands, and these animals will have less and less space to feed upon. And chances are they will live together with humans and competing for food. No? And we asked ourselves, have we considered the environmental and carrying capacity? As we have dwindling lands for agriculture, the price of food becomes higher, and the poor people will be at most vulnerable with these higher commodity prices. Look at the image. This is the 2017 Ebola study from the Equatorial Africa. There is a direct correlation between deforestation and virus occurrence or virus spread. Ebola is caused by bats, and how did it happen? The natural habitats of the bats were destroyed. Therefore, the bats encroach human territory for food. The bats eat on the fruit, and man nibbles on the same fruit. There is a tendency for the transfer of Ebola virus. You see here the different urban planning models. No? So we have the concentric zone theory, the sector theory, and the multiple nuclei theory. This enables, except for the concentric zone theory, no? Concentric zone theory will enable garden cities by Ebenezer Howard, but the sector theory and the multiple nuclei theory will enable those commercial spaces, residential spaces to expand outwards as we encroach over the natural habitat of the animals around us. As you see here at the right side, these are the poor families living in shanties, which would reside near the source of employment. They closely live together. Of course, this these shanties are more vulnerable because they're closely compact with each other, and they have poor sanitation as well. You see here the image, there's the Philippines forest cover, which has been declining from 70% in the 1900s to less than 21% in 2007. 1900, we are covered by mostly forests, primordial forests, as these were being cut down. Actually, for your information, after the war, majority of our houses were built in wood after World War II. No? So you see here, those 1950s houses made from TNG, no? For the walls, because trees during that time were aplenty. Up to the time during Marcos period, when there was the upsurge of deforestation, as we were one of the #1 exporters of wood. Of course, with this deforestation, the animals who used to live in this forest have no choice but to coexist and live and compete with food with humans already. If some of them will not be able to survive, they will die. Let's review the historical-cultural, the architectural context of the current health crisis. This was the influenza pandemic in World War I. In 1918 to 1920, it lasted for 1918 to 1920, it lasted for 2 years. It infected 500 million people and died around 50 million. It claimed 5% of the world's population during that time. Based on the 2005 studies, the source of the influenza pandemic in 1918 might be of avian origin. It may come from the birds, the H1N1, but still it is inconclusive. No, you see here, they were wearing masks already. No, it's like a deja vu on what is happening now in our workstations, in our workplaces, in what we see outside. We tend to forget. We tend to have historical amnesia. No, after this, after the medication, the penicillin, no, was discovered, no, by Alexander Fleming, no. So the influenza was already treated, but again, it was too late already. Here, there was a shortage of medical personnel. No, so they have to hire the nurses during the time. The frontline workers were scarce, so they have to look, because those nurses during the time were deployed in the front line, in the war front line in World War I. That's why they have to hire nurses coming from outside. No. Now, you see here, there was a new building typology that evolved. There was this sanatorium. Excuse me, let me read the chat. Excuse me. Okay, so sanatorium is a new building typology from 1880s to 1940s. In response to tuberculosis, it is high risk for influenza virus. So when you were attacked by influenza virus, those with the pre-existing condition with tuberculosis will have higher mortality rate. It is designed to house, treat, and isolate patients. So again, it emphasizes strict hygiene and ample exposure to sunlight and air. And environmental treatment was a concept before penicillin was formulated. These clinical environments inspired the new modern architecture. You see here, the image on the right was designed by 𝘈𝘂𝑟𝑗, the Finnish architect, the pioneer sanatorium in 1930s. If you still recall, our Philippine Tuberculosis Institute, no? It was located along E. Rodriguez Avenue. It is currently the Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Office. It used to be where our Philippine tuberculosis patients were housed to recover. You see here, a row of beds. They're facing these windows to be exposed to natural sunlight and ventilation. As Le Corbusier said, a house is only habitable when it is full of light and air. That's his postulation. You see here one of his magnum opus, the Villa Savoy. It was designed by the same architect in 1929 in Pouzy, France. It was painted clinical white. Its living quarters are suspended on columns above the germ-ridden earth below. These principles responded to the ravages of war and disease that defined the first half of the 20th century. Like tuberculosis sanatoriums, the clean, smooth surfaces of the architecture of this era offered an anesthetic aesthetics, or an aesthetic to disease and trauma. It is open planning, by the way. It's plain facade, because if you have more draperies, more sculptures along the walls, that's where the virus can step in and accumulate. No, that's why modernist architects, they prefer simpler surfaces to be easily cleaned. It's white. No? Another one. You see here, these are rows of furniture that were designed by a series of well-known architects, 𝘘𝘕𝗏 𝗏, Le Corbusier, Marcel Breuer, and so forth. At the left is the Barcelona chair in 1929. This was designed by Ludwig Mies van der Rohe. These are tubular and plywood furniture designed by the Bauhaus School of Design from 1920s to the before Hitler took over Germany into 1940s. Trivia, no? There's a maximum of 72 hours wherein COVID virus, no, can survive on stainless steel and plastic surfaces. There is a need that surfaces need to be easily cleaned. So again, if you see from outside, you're putting plastic covers, you know, National Bookstore right now, the most sellable item which they have are the plastic covers. That's the highest sellable item which they have right now. No? But again, plastics enable a longer half-life for the virus to stay. No? We will tackle more of that later. Now, with the government pronouncement about the quarantine before, no, the enhanced community quarantine, we were asked to stay at home. No, the barriers were stopped by these military personnel, and our transportation was hampered. There's an article by Anumita Rao-Choudhury that COVID-19, it signals about building design for healthy living. You see here the image at the left. Nagkukulong tayo sa bahay, mainit sa labas. Imagine the virus which propagated during March, April, May. Those were the hottest months, and we were inside these houses, turning up on air cons, and we were huddled in the comfort on the cold rooms. No? But again, these houses were not designed tropically for human comfort, thermal comfort. It's not tropically designed. We have become too reliant with air conditioning units, and therefore it's not energy efficient, and it becomes haven for viruses. Enclosed spaces with air conditioning units, no? Example, the centralized aircon can become haven for viruses. That's where the viruses propagate. Let's discuss about tropical design. Fenestration refers to the design and disposition of buildings in a building. Disposition of openings in a building or wall envelope. The arrangement and design of windows in a building. No? So this, you see here, the different scenarios where there are dead spots. Ang akala natin, when we were still studying BS architecture before, pag tapatin mong bintana, okay na. But it's not always the case. We have to follow the Venturi's principle. The inlet should be smaller than the outlet. No? The inlet where the windward, the source of the wind passes through, goes in, should be smaller versus to the leeward side where it goes out. So here, effective fenestration design allows air to move freely and circulate around inside the room and avoiding dead stagnant spots. You see here, the dead spot on the upper left image. These are the dead spots because you have two similarly sized small windows, and there are dead spots where there is stale air, stagnant air, where the virus can accumulate. No, another one. The second image from the left, on the top row, we have the dead spot. Another one on the third image from the top row. Thus, dead spot is on lower right. Air passes only through the upper left and the lower left. And dead spots as well. Okay? Stagnant air circulation. If the air does not circulate, the viruses are trapped inside. These are some basic principles for tropical design. No? To enable good air movement, the width of the room should be not less than 5 times the height of the room. That is the ruling for good air movement. You need to have passive air to flush out the viruses, to dilute the to make the phylogeny of those viruses more varied, because there's only one. If the room is enclosed, there's only one type of virus. But if you have passive air passing through the room, there is already a mix of outside air and inside air. Therefore, the potency of the COVID virus, which accumulate in the air, will be diluted. No? That's the rule. No? Again, there's another study, spatial connectivity, highlighting betweenness and connectance of common room and door configurations. The circles represent the circles and lines. Let's look at letter A. The letter A, we have letter B, letter C, and letter D. These are the arrangement of the rooms in a building and the placement of the doors in a building. No? Letter A, the darker the shade of green, that's where the viruses converge at a higher level. Okay? So the circles and lines follow the classic network representation, letter A. So here you see the image. Letter B, the rectangles follow the architectural translation of networks. These are the doors, the location of the doors. Letter C, the arrows represent possible directions of microbial spread as determined by the layout of the built environment. And letter D, the circles represent the current knowledge of microbial spread based on microbial abundance through the built environments as determined by the layout. So you see here, there's a door. If there is only, there's opening, you see here the connectance. How many doors are between two spaces? If there are 2 doors, there's high connectance. So the microbes, the viruses, have a tendency to accumulate here. So this is based from the study. Okay? You see here from the linear, there is the diagonal arrow and a row of circles. The dark green turns to up to white. It becomes lighter because the circulation is only one way. Therefore, all of the viruses will converge at the entrance. Darker colors represent higher microbial abundance and lighter colors represent lower microbial abundance. Again, this is based on the American Society for Microbiology. I know you've heard plenty of seminars outside. They've showed these facilities in the Rizal Stadium and so forth. There's nothing wrong with them. These are actual case studies. The objective of our discussion this afternoon is to guide you with the principles of design for the post-pandemic environment. These are the 3 potential transmission vectors for the spread of COVID-19. Firstly, it is through close interactions between individuals. You can by talking, sneezing, coughing, vomiting. Secondly, by containing fomites or fomites. Fomites or fomites is a medical term for objects or materials that are likely to carry infectious diseases. Yung natapuan ng virus, no? Letter C is through viral exchange and transfer to the air. Social distancing, no, as what they say, it's 6 feet or 1.8 meters. Clearance with mask. And of course, in our air conditioning systems, the duct systems, the gaps should be thoroughly sealed for the filters. You see here on the image on the right, this simulation, you see that the tinge of green are the presence of the microbes of the viruses. How these are left, the imprints of the virus are left on the surface of the fomites or the fomites. The duration where COVID-19 can potentially persist on fomites or surfaces based on material can range between few hours to 5 days. This is based on the studies of SARS and MERS-CoV, preliminary data on COVID-19, SARS-CoV-2, and Center for Disease Control recommendations. On plastic surfaces, again, mahilig tayo sa plastic, no? Given at 40% room's relative humidity, it stays for 16 hours for plastic surfaces. Now, at a given relative humidity of 65%, 2.74 hours, its shortest airborne, that is airborne. It doesn't touch any foamity or any surfaces. If it's airborne, it lasts shorter as long as the relative humidity is 65% around that area. There are currently no confirmed cases of foamic to human transmission, but viral particles have been found on abiotic built environment surfaces. So again, the rule here, the higher relative humidity, the shorter virus lifespan. And we have to talk with our mechanical engineers. Other materials at 40% humidity, the half-life of the COVID. Copper, it's 3.4 hours. Cardboard, 8.45 hours. Steel, 13 hours. Again, copper is a good material actually, but again, its application is limited for architecture because of the color. But copper is widely used for plumbing system for hot and cold conveyance. But again, this can be explored if it's possible to have a copper material with the color of stainless steel. That can be researched upon in the near future. Again, let's remember the principle. The higher the relative humidity, the shorter the virus lifespan. Again, that's humidity. It is the amount of water droplets suspended in air. So again, it's the amount of water droplets, no? With the relative humidity, virus can float in air. Imagine na lang natin, these white bubbles are the water droplets. If we have low humidity, there is less evaporation, less water vapor in the air. Therefore, our air medium is somewhat maluwag. It somewhat gives more space for the COVID virus to wiggle upon, to float on the air if our humidity is low. But again, if the humidity is high, if the humidity is high, in short, 65%, 70%, the water vapors are very heavy. They will push the COVID virus downwards. That's why these viruses are repelled, or because of the compact or the heavy density of the water vapors, because of the higher humidity. And this COVID-19 virus are bounce back towards the foamities or the surfaces. They go to the ground, no? But again, another comment, too much humidity, however, if it's greater than 80%, should be avoided, no? That's what you see in the image on the right. These are the molds in our bathrooms, no? This can also cause lung problems when we inhale on this, no? Though the American Society for Heating, Refrigeration, and Air Conditioning engineer 170/2017 recommends wider range of between 20 to 60% relative humidity. But again, it is suggested that narrower range of 40 to 60% relative humidity, it balances the need to control the spread of COVID-19. It also maintains our intact respiratory mucosal barrier sa lungs natin, and minimizing the risk of mold growth. Therefore, it's around 60% to 65%. That is the ideal humidity to enable to the COVID-19 to not float in air. No? You see here in the table, the image here, you see the comparative illustration between the too dry and too moist and the healthy zone among the different circumstances, like the bacteria, the viruses, the fungi, mites, respiratory infections, we have allergic rhinitis, and so forth. So we talk about the viruses. It's between 45 to something like that, to 75%. That is the percentage, no? almost 50 to 75%. That is the healthy zone for our optimum relative humidity for human comfort and health. Again, another one. If there is low humidity, there is dry air. Therefore, the virus, example, this person coughs. At the left image, the virus will float in the air because there is dry air. There's low humidity. The virus will flow through the air and will travel and go towards the person that will be infected. No? But if there is humid air, because the air is more dense, more water vapor, the COVID viruses are pushed towards to the ground. Okay? Other people remain healthy because hydrated air decreases exposure to infectious aerosols or air and supports respiratory immunity. The spread through the air is limited as larger droplets fall and be easily removed with surface cleaning. So yan. So the indoor humidity is maintained. Infections are reduced between 40 to 60% relative humidity. Now, we discussed about the impact of COVID-19 to architecture. This is another actual project in Japan. So we have to be adaptable when we design future buildings. We have to foresee already future needs. Not? You have to be flexible already. You have to adapt flexibly. There's an adequate, adaptable, essential facilities like CDC, schools, and hospitals for pandemic response. In the Yogi Village in Shibuya, in Japan, by Wonderwall Architecture Group, by landscape designer Seijun Nishihata et al. This is their simulation. So it only 70% completion level only for the project. The remaining 20 to 30% will leave flexibility for the end user to play with it as the need arises. Only the fixed environment, the fixed setting is around 70%. The remaining 30% is flexible and gives room for manipulation for the dwellers, for the users. No? A comfortable and sustainable future community, environmentalism is as important as consumerism. Okay. Another one, residential master plan. This is for residential developments. Residential master plan has to be broken down into smaller independent clusters. Kasi nga, for better control on mass public interaction and contact tracing, there should be adequate emergency facilities and emergency-ready facilities that need to be in place, and a smaller, more dispersed commercial centers over high-density mall to maintain certain independence. So look at the image in the upper right. This was designed by the ASP architectural firm. It's centralized. They have a centralized open courtyard. All of them will converge in the middle. Of course, imagine the human viral load when they converge there. What about if we design it somewhat decentralized to disperse the human traffic load? If there's less human traffic load, the big open space is subdivided into smaller open space so that they can have more, lower number of people congregate at the given common area because they already spread out already. Another one, so this is a trend, no? So designing homes with flexible areas for possible workspaces, isa pa yan. Multifamily residential floor plans are broken down into smaller independent clusters. Natural ventilation, dati naka-base tayo sa aircon. Ngayon, talaga is a valuable commodity. Balconies in apartment living as sheltered outer spaces apart from providing openings for natural ventilation during the rain. Okay? So, all glass building aesthetics to a facade, skyline with punctuated open terraces and balconies. Dati sa taas lang. Now, you decentralize the open spaces so they can converge there at their mini pocket parks along within the building. They will not converge on a central area. It disperses the people with smaller number of people. No? Again, decentralized communal facilities. A centralized facility floor in a condo is best to be decentralized. Some public spaces located on the upper floors with better views and ventilation. These are the different typologies of building plans These are double-loaded the buildings. Kung may kwarto sa kaliwa, may kwarto sa kanan, and there's a corridor. Again, example here, you see here the image number 8. Number 8, double courtyard. This can be a good alternative instead of having a centralized courtyard. Again, I'm not saying here itong gagamitin. It depends. There are so many variables to consider in designing a post-pandemic friendly facility or post-pandemic architectural solution. Again, the offices, on the other hand, they use what I suggest is use cost-benefit analysis. No, the rule around 2 meters clearance rule should be applied in the office layout above. Internally, the big open plan is changing back to one of the cubicles and compartmentalization to maintain social distancing and to minimize airborne close contact transmission of the viruses. Allowances of area on square footage per person or square meter per person base is going to increase. Tataas yan because again, you will be moving, hindi mo siya masasulit, right? Thus require the same staff size office to have a bigger area. Half of employees will work remotely to compensate for the high rental income and company can get best talents. Ngayon, ang kagandahan naman dito, you can already get best talents via internet, no? Yung magagaling, you can have, you have a magagaling na staff na galing Mindanao na hindi mo madala sa Manila kasi kailangan po siyang gastusan for the rent, patitirhan mo pa siya for the relocation expenses. Makakatipid ka because even though you have different, talents or staff that are scattered across the Philippines, yun yung pinakamagagaling, they don't need to be physically present at the office. Na ma-maximize mo nga yung office space mo. You have less expenses for the barracks, for example. Of course, there are many factors that have to be considered as well. Ano ba itong cost-benefit analysis? I discussed this with UAP Singapore less than 2 weeks ago. It is a framework tool used in management for evaluating the drawbacks and benefits associated with any particular project. Systematic quantitative method of assessing the desirability of government projects or policies when it is important to take a long view of future effects and a broad view of possible side effects. Anyway, you see here at the image, you see here, you are trying to compare option A, option B, option C. And you have to put numerical, you have to put some financial amount, financial equivalent to the tangible benefits of option A, intangible benefits of option A, and so forth. The costs associated with option A. And the lesser the costs, the better option. That is what we call the cost-benefit analysis. So here, for example, this is just for you to open our minds on different possible scenarios. For example, the pre-pandemic, you have 50 square meter office space, and that's 500 pesos square meter per month rental rate. Salary for 8 persons at 25,000 per month. Utilities, 6,000 a month. Then we have another option. This is just an example. Retain existing office space, so you have the same rental amount, rental cost, but 50% work at home. Still the same, but lower utilities. Another one, option 2, look for a smaller office space while 50% work at home. So again, you can rent, instead of 50, you can rent for 35 square meters. Option 3, reduce number of staff. And option 4, you have to rent out platter machine for printing services. Kung may platter ka sa opisina, meron kang sariling platter sa office, you can try having it, you offer printing services to compensate for the social distancing measures, right? Or option 5, install high-grade air ultraviolet filters. That is an emerging field. Of course, pagdating sa cost-benefit, kukostingan natin lahat yan, and the lower cost among these options will be the most feasible option. Of course, for realty developers, for a home buyer in apartment design, it's a question between, if you have this 3 million pesos, would you invest in a bigger floor area or would you prefer high quality finishes? So again, it all boils down to cost-benefit analysis. let's talk about social distancing. No? This was released by Ibon. So imagine yung mga low quality residence, mga shanties, mga barong-barong, sabihin natin, they have 9 square meters or less. Ang required per person is 4 square meters of space per person. Ang hindi nag-comply, yung mga bahay na nandito sa 9 square meter or less at saka yung second housing na may 10 to 19 square meters. No? Hindi kakasya, kumbaga. But those houses with 20 to 49 square meters, pwede na po siya. If we're talking about social distancing sa bahay. Imagine those living in shanty shanties, no? Shanty towns, they are at most risk. If one of them got infected, it is like a conflagration, para siyang apoy, no? So, yeah. There are around 370,000 houses, or 14.4% in Metro Manila, which have 9 square meters or less. Imagine those 14.4 plus 15%, 30% of our houses are not friendly to social distancing. Another study, let fresh flare. So again, we have to maintain solar passive architecture. So building owners can sacrifice the use of air conditioning system in order to deal with COVID-19 and diminish the spread during the summer months. Maintain higher temperature, 24 to 30 degrees, and humidity should be around 40 to 70 across air-conditioned buildings. It is suggested to be energy efficient. Instead of the standard alternate current, use the BLDC, brushless direct current, motor-based ceiling fans, 28 watts compared to the normal ceiling fans, 75 watts, in order to let the air circulate in the room and flush out the used air palabas ng kwarto. The only downside with the BLDC or the direct current brushless motor-based ceiling fan is the initial cost, but in the long term, it is energy efficient. That is the specs. Only 28 watts for the ceiling. Of course, you see the rule. Hot air rises. It is being pushed up by the cold air. So you need a fan, no, to push out the air. It is effective in generating internal air movement. It improves air distribution and air velocities. Nagsisiksikan tayo sa elevator, of course. This is another scenario in commercial buildings or condo buildings. So it's better to use contactless sensors. High-speed Wi-Fi in a building is a must. No, it's a wake-up call for the telcos in order to enable smart building technology, mga sensorized na. Mechanically, the elevator design and provision will also be affected by COVID-19. Variables such as speed and capacity ng elevator need to be reworked. You have to discuss this with the mechanical engineer. May computation sila for that. So before, we're talking about the maximum number of passengers per lift. But right now, post-pandemic, minimum number of persons allowed in a lift while maintaining the required efficiency and the waiting time. So here's a table. So depende sa capacity in the size ng elevator car, ito ang pwedeng i-accommodate the observed loading, but again, this will be reduced. So it has something to do with the speed of the elevator when we design it for future projects, no, versus the capacity ng elevator. Okay. So according to SOM, 𝘾𝘓𝑚, there are limits on lift capacity, 1 to a corner. So 4 lang daw per lift journey, use of stairs for lower stories. Meron nga nilabas ang DPWH guidelines sa IATF, one-way circulation sa construction job sites. Yung mga construction worker, habang tinatay yung bahay, while they're wearing protective gears, no? Yung paakyat, hiwalay na hagdanan. Yung pababa, hiwalay na hagdanan. Their corridors avoid collisions, entrance exit doors for lobbies, restrooms, etc. Taller partitions for cubicles, again, is a question of what material shall we use. Because some materials might absorb, depending sa materials natin. User density control. reuse of meeting areas and conference rooms into partition workstations, more operable windows for natural air and naturally ventilated stairways, and skylights to let cleansing UV radiation. Again, there is this promising field in architecture. Actually, nangyayari na to. Nanotechnology sa medicine. So on architectural services, or the medical terms fomites or fomites, this have been intensified to stop the spread of viruses via tactility or touch. It is applied onto product surfaces. These technologies can potentially kill viruses on contact. By then, it is inevitable that many new architectural projects such as doorknobs, lift buttons, toiletware, and fittings to furniture and paint employing this technology will emerge in the market. No? Hands-free, artificial intelligence, sensor-based control. Nilagyan lang yan ng plastic so that you can use your elbow instead of your hands. Ito nangyayari na ito, of course. Now, let's go back to planning. Urban design tayo. SOM postulated the compact, decentralized, walkable cities. Dapat there should be a formula of live, work, and play, townships and residences. Schools, offices, businesses, and services are within 400 meters per 5 minutes walk. 15-minute walk circle of travel, preferably in foot or public transport. Hindi nagagamit ng sasakyan, ng private vehicle. Based on study ni architect Leonardo Poco, the current travel distance to jobs and amenities, kailangan mo ng kotse, 1.2 kilometers sa Manila, Metro Manila. It's really, imagine the temperature outside, the heat, no? It's not, you have to use a car. And if there are more car usage, more pollution. If there are more pollution, it's unhealthy also to the habitats as well. It is a vicious cycle which we have to go back to basics, no? Car-free mobility. Uso na ngayon ang mga bisikleta. Covered, shaded, wider pedestrian routes. There are covered trees, protected bike lane network system, bike parking slots. So according to the Philippine Green Initiative and the LEAD, you have to provide, there's some point criteria for putting bike parking slots. And of course, yung mga nagbibisikleta putong opisina, provide for shower or changing rooms for bike commuters. You see here the image on the right. No? This was by Clarence Perry's, the neighborhood unit. Everything is within 400 meters, walking distance within 5 minutes. Everything is accessible. Ito na naman. We inherited this from the Americans. We live in a consumerist culture, honestly. Now, because of big malls, the public converge. If the public converge, there's vehicular traffic, there's a buildup of traffic, increased cars, increased air pollution, increased energy usage, aircon fuel. And of course, if there are many cars parked in the mall, no? Imagine, no? Ang init nito. Urban heat island effect, no? The urban heat island effect, it goes higher because of the asphalt or the covering of the ground where the cars are parked. And all of these car owners, when they converge inside, there's a higher human traffic load and a higher risk of virus transmission. Of course, one suggestion in the future, these big malls can be converted instead to distribution hubs. Para siya mga Amazon na mga bodegang malalaki. Tapos noon, the big malls are decentralized into smaller malls. Parang community mall na lang siya. This can be the future so that everything can be walkable. Everything can be walkable. Daylight is another mitigating factor strategy for controlling the viability of some infectious agents indoors. Sabi nga, in terms of influenza virus, pag walang liwanag sa kwarto, it's dark room, it's like a photography room, no? It's 32 minutes, the virus half-life in the dark room for influenza. But if the room has natural sunlight, the virus half-life for influenza is reduced to 2.4 minutes. It's already proven. It's common sense, right? It's a given knowledge, it's a given basics na yan sa kitchen design. Of course, kung di gagamit ng natural sunlight, then we have the electrical lighting. these were already implemented for some as engineering controls for disinfection indoors. The UV light in the region of shorter wavelengths, around 254 nanomicrons, is particularly germicidal. Fixtures shown to this part of the light spectrum are effectively employed in clinical settings to inactivate infectious aerosols or the infectious air and can reduce the ability of some viruses to survive. 10 minutes of UVC light inactivated almost 100% of COVID-tested SARS-CoV and MERS-CoV. However, ang issue naman dito, kanina yung sobrang humidity ng kwarto, dapat di ka lalagpas ang 80%, magkakaroon ng molds ang kwarto. Dito naman, pag gagamit ka ng sobrang UV light, masyadong exposed tayo, it can have adverse health effect sa tao. For this reason, the UV germicidal irradiation, UVGI, is installed in mechanical ventilation paths or in upper room applications to indirectly treat air through convective movement. Yan. This was proposed by SOM. The large volumes are naturally ventilated to diffuse the presence of virus. The entry of sunlight through the skylights helps kill the virus, no? Because there is sunlight, of course, it increases the humidity level, of course, no? Window airing can be used to further boost ventilation. It dilutes the potency of those stale air, especially if there are some pathogens lying in the air, no? Let's talk about negative pressure and positive pressure. Ayan, maraming pinesent na to, yung mga actual case studies. What is negative pressure? So we're talking about here health facilities. Health facilities. Negative pressure use lower air pressure. Humihigop siya, hihigupin, to allow outside air into the segregated environment. So this is the patient room. This traps and keeps potentially harmful particles within the negative pressure room by preventing the internal air from leaving the space. Kumbaga, meron siyang vacuum effect, no? Ang positive pressure naman, tumutulak siya. It maintains a higher pressure inside the treated area than that of the surrounding environment. This means air can leave the room without circulating back in. In this way, any airborne particle that originates in the room will be filtered out. Germs, particles, and other potential contaminants in the surrounding environment will not enter the room. Of course, meron tayong sa gitna yung corridors. Negative pressure rooms in medical facilities, it isolates patients with infectious conditions and protect people outside the room from exposure. Positive pressure in medical settings, it keeps vulnerable patients safe from infections and disease. So, ang sabi ng ASHRAE din, tsaka sa mga mechanical engineers, to have a positive, they require the use of specialized construction climate control equipment. So nakita nyo sa kaliwa, at the lower left, these are the pressure sensor display that will activate or adjust the pressure of air inside the room. No? These are the pressure sensor. There should be a minimum of 12 airflow. Sabi ng airflow, pasok ng fresh air, lalabas, isang cycle. Papasok ng fresh air, lalabas. Papasok ng fresh air, lalabas ang used air. Cycle yan, cycle. There should be a minimum of 12 airflow changes each hour. Must be maintained in order to sustain the desired environment and depending on the size and purpose of the room. More, it can be higher than 12 air changes may be necessary. Recirculation of air through HEPA filters to control the movement of airborne or contaminants. Of course, self-closing entryway with an adequate seal. Thoroughly sealed floors, ceilings, walls, windows, gaps should be sealed. I'll show you more of this later. Fans, ductwork to move air in the desired directions. Monitoring system that allows users to adjust pressure, yung pinakita ko kanina, when necessary. Intermediate environment between the pressure room and outside environment for deliveries, observation, and protective gear storage. You see here, the two images on the right are the HEPA filters. Okay, sabi rito, you see here at the image on the right, This is the corridor, color beige. The controlled room, the color blue. The transition space, anteroom, is colored light green. Anteroom should be provided as buffer between two spaces of differing air pressure. No? It prevents pathogen spread and provide the location for hospital staff to apply and remove their PPEs. So here, neutral ang air pressure sa corridor. Neutral, no? Neutral. Nag-negative siya sa anteroom. Mas todo negative ang air pressure sa bed sa medical suite, no? Ito yung banyo and suite, no? Banyo to, banyo. This is a toilet and bath. Now, we have to prevent the backflow of those. Example, may doktor, may nakakabit na virus sa katawan niya, sa kanyang uniforme. Pagpasok niya sa anteroom, dapat there should be a transition para matanggal siya. Tapos bago siya pumasok sa bedroom. Kasi baka mahawa din yung pasyente. Closer look at the anteroom. The self-closing door, pinakita natin dito. An isolation room indicates negative pressure room as door swings outward. Yan. Also, dispensers discharge over hand wash basin type B. Self-closing type door. Hindi na kailangan ng doorknob. Dapat may sarili siyang kasi pag nalagay ka pa ng doorknob, dapat yung naka-gas operated siya or pneumatic type siya, yung sarili kusa siya nagsasara para hands-free na yung mga pinto. Another one, pag-usapan natin mechanical. Saan ginagamit yung mga HEPA filter? No? Here, the corridor, anteroom, bed bay, and yung banyo, and suite. Of course, neutral ang corridor natin. Anteroom natin, negative. Mas negative pressure pa yung bedroom, yung medical suite ng pasyente. Then the bathroom, kasi syempre, the patient will enter the bathroom. Yung virus na galing sa loob, hindi na lalabas yan. Papasok pa dito lalo yung sa banyo. Kasi negative 45 Pascal pa siya, yung pressure niya. No? So, kailangan talaga maglagay ng HEPA filter. HEPA filter dyan. So, ito, pinakita yung HEPA filter kung saan nilalagay. And I'll show you another illustration. Medyo technical na to, no? Take note sa mechanical air conditioning systems, meron tayong fresh air at meron tayong used air na nilalabas. So, ang tawag sa fresh air, papasok ng kwarto, are called supply air. Ang used air, return air ang tawag doon. It's a cycle. Hindi siya pwedeng mag-stay sa kwarto. Kaya may tinatawag tayo kaninang 12 changes per hour or more than 12 changes per hour para hindi mag-stagnate ang air sa loob ng kwarto. The green ones are the possible location for the HEPA filters, for the HEPA or the MERV filters. Yan. You see here, ito yung mga ducting systems to, mga ducts na to. Imagine nyo, yung mga ducts yan, yung mga naka-arrow na yan, dumadaan sa mga ducting sa kisame. Outer air, dadaan sa filter, galing sa labas. Kasi syempre, kailangan humigop ng fresh air. Ang ating HVAC, hihigop ng fresh air sa labas yan. At bago siya pumasok sa system, dadaan yan ng system of filters, lilinisin niya, para magkaroon ng recharge ng fresh air, recharge ng supply air sa mga balak na i-condition na kwarto. And yan, may exhaust at saka yan. So recovery, air, and so forth. Air cleaner, air conditioning unit, another HEPA filter, supply. Lalabas, paikot-ikot lang siya. Pero again, sa mga iba, nire-recirculate nila yung hangin. Less ang kanilang intake ng fresh air sa labas. But again, based on findings and studies, no, maganda, wag tayo mag-rely sa recirculation ng air kasi that is risky. Dapat magdagdag tayo ng capacity to admit outdoor air for more frequent change of air. Hindi pwedeng iilan lang. Ito ngayon, para mapag-aralan natin yung HEPA at saka mga MERV kasi naririnig na natin to, no? Residential and commercial systems, the MERV 8, no? Kita niyo to sa table sa kaliwa. This is group 1 to MERV rating 1 to 4. Group 2, MERV rating 5 to 8, and so forth. The MERV 8, pwede na siyang gamitin. Sa Group 2 na HEPA or MERV filter, pwede na siyang gamitin. Ang kaya niyang i-block, no? 20 to 35% ng particles kaya niyang harangin. Yan ang ibig sabihin nun. Yung mga malalaking particles to technically. So, pero pagdating sa HEPA level, ang MERV rating na 17, 18, 19, MERV pa rin siya. Pero pag HEPA kasi, 99.97%, sobrang liliit na ng filter nun. It blocks out fine particles, naliliit na viruses. Ang kalaban lang doon is baka yung efficiency ng mga machines, yung makina natin, yung ating mechanical ventilation system. Yun naman ang trade-offs nun. MERV 13 filters ang ginagamit and above sa mga hospital to remove microbes, no? 0.3 to 10 nanomicron. Most viruses, including CoVs, range from 0.004 to 1 nanomicron. COVID-19 measures upon 0.25 to 0.5 nanomicron. So mga MERV 13 pwede na siya. Okay? So ang pinakamataas is HEPA. Filter rate is the highest with 99.97%. Ito nga, sabi nga, no? Sinabi ito ng IATF, tinaasan nila ang temperature ng kwarto to 26 degrees Celsius. Tinaasan nila. Una, para daw di magtambay yung mga Pilipino, uminit daw. Actually, mga mall, nagre-recirculate pa rin ng hangin yan, ng lamig yan. So kahit taasan mong temperature, no? It does little. Kasi 26 degrees pa rin, comfortable pa rin yun eh. Yung importante rito, yung flow ng air natin. Dapat more fresh air papasok, less ang reliance natin sa recirculated air. Okay, to summarize, so let's compare. Nagko-cost-benefit analysis tayo ulit. To recirculate air or not for heating, ventilation, air conditioning systems. Pag magre-recirculate ang air, mas matipid sa kuryente. Pag mag-introduce ka ng more outside air, mas mataas siya sa kuryente. Recirculate air in terms of filter, mas kailangan mo ng dagdag na filter, almost same. Mas less na ng konti ang panagdagdag ka ng outside air. Plus, kailangan mo rin ng filters pa rin. Pag recirculate air ang option mo, less reliance from outside air. Ang second option natin, of course, more reliance for outside air. Ang recirculate air, yung naka-red, it has higher risk for contamination. No? Increased airflow rates, higher risk for contamination kasi nga po umiikot lang siya sa loob. Okay. Lesser airflow rates inside building, lower risk for contamination if we put more outside air. Okay. Another alternative to HVAC with more outside air supply is to use split type or packaged terminal air conditioning systems frequently found in hotels, motels, senior housing facilities, condominium units, and apartments, no? Or through perimeter passive ventilation strategies such as perimeter dampered vent. Papakita ko later. However, for most buildings, ang pinakamadali, buksan mong bintana every 15 minutes, mano-mano. But of course, kung operated siya ng mechanically, dapat every 15 minutes bubuksan mo yung bintana kung may ganong contraption. So the window ventilation, it bypasses the ductwork and increases the outside air fraction and increases total air change rate, and of course dilutes the phylogenesis or the profile of the viruses that are found inside the room. So these are the packaged terminal air conditioning. We have the perimeter dampered vent. So ito, di natin nakikita to, nakatago to eh. Parang gate valve yan sa plumbing system. It enables only a single flow, unidirectional flow of air para hindi siya mag-backflow, para hindi magkaroon ng contamination. Yun pong purpose ng damper. Sa mga sa fire din, sa Republic Act 9154 sa fire code, dampers kailangan din. Kasi usually ang apoy, tumatakbo rin niya sa mga ducting, kailangan din ng damper para hindi siya hindi siya tumagos yung apoy. Ito pa, medyo last na tayo, patapos na tayo. Hindi natin alam, virus can possibly spread mula sa fecal, sa dumi ng tao, through oral transmission. Of course, more studies need to be done. So here, this is the anteroom sa hospital. These are the areas where the virus can enter. And here's the bedroom, and this is the bathroom. No? Ito, naka-shade siya. Lahat maiipon yan sa bathrooms. Therefore, the bathroom should have the it should have the highest negative pressure, the highest negative Pascal. Exhaust ventilation systems of toilets should always be left 24/7. And relatively negative pressure must be maintained in the room to avoid fecal oral transmission. Pero, ingat lang kasi wag tayo magbubukas, kung may bintana to, wag tayo magbubukas ng bintana. Baka naman yung hangin naman sa labas, mag-backflow naman yung virus pa loob ng kwarto. Baka itulak naman yung simoy ng hangin sa labas, it will push the air, papasok na naman, aatras na naman sa bedroom. Dapat lahat yan, ihigupin palabas ng bathroom. Yan. Okay, more or less, last slides. In the SARS-20, sabi rito, virus can possibly spread through floor drain traps. In the floor drain traps, in the SARS 2003 to 2004 outbreak, open connections with sewage systems appear to represent the primary transmission route in Hong Kong. Transmission was probably because of dried out floor drain. Remember, lahat ng floor drain, mga laboratory natin, meron yang trap seal, meron yung tubig na natitira, no? Pag magbukas ka ng gripo, yung naunang trap seal doon, itutulak nung bagong labas na tubig. So lagi siyang may lamang tubig to avoid the backflow of gases mula sa sewer system pabalik paakit ng kitchen sink. Kasi minsan sumisingaw because dry ang drain. Transmission was caused because of dried floor drain and airborne dissemination by the toilet exhaust fan and winds. It is suggested that you have to check floor drain traps. No? Ito yung pic image. Yan. Virus laid. Ito yung taong infected. Right? So yan, yung naka-blue, yung mga trap seal nila. Trap seal yan. It is possible, pag niya rito, umakit dito yan, makakontaminate. Ito, example, naliligo siya. Ito yung floor drain niya. Wala siyang trap seal. Mag-backflow yung virus dito, papunta rito habang naliligo siya. Siyempre, itong virus, lilipad naman sa bintana, akit naman dito sa third floor. So that is a possibility. So please consider that sa design. No? Of course, transport systems. Last 3 slides. Siyempre sa airports, increasing the number of security lanes and automating check-in procedures. Di ba? Automated na nga. Density is reduced if you increase the number of security lanes. Number of check-in counters, dapat, dapat hands-free na, no? Yan, restaurants. Yan. There is an increased capacity for pre-packed food. So mga fine dining, tingnan natin anong possibility nito. Increase take-out lanes para hindi na pipila. Imagine nyo, no, sa mga fast food, ang init-init sa labas. Susulat pa yung order mo, dapat ang take-out, there should be a way to design it that na pipick upin mo na yung order mo. Reduce dining capacities. May tinatawag tayong ghost kitchens. So, anong gagawin natin sa mga malaking restaurants? No? Nandiyan yung mga equipment nila. The equipment, the hoods, and the dining space, they can be converted into a more cold and dry storage and prep space para siya mga commissaries. Susupply siya sa mga maliliit na restaurants. Pwedeng ganon. Parang yung kanina mga mall, it can serve, yung mga malalaking mall, instead of using that, you decentralize it to smaller commercial complexes, encourage people to walk, less pollution, and those big malls will be converted into warehouses, para mga Amazon warehouses. That can be a distant possibility if we change our mindset about that, no? Kasi sa vicious cycle, nakalimutan natin ang basics Because of population sprawl, dumadami tayo, kumakain tayo ng space, nakakain na natin yung natural habitat, yung tumitira doon sa mga nakatirang hayop sa natural habitat, wala na silang matirhan. Nakikishare sila ng habitat natin. So nagkakaroon ng contamination ng virus, kumakalat yung RNA. Again, risk management. No? Pag nagde-design tayo in the new world, essential tips. Tip 1, we have to create a risk culture. So isa to sa pandemic design. Pandemic should be included in the design of facilities. We allocate adequate resources. And lastly, continually reassess risk. Sabi nga ni Plato, necessity is the mother of invention. Thank you so much for listening po.
All right. Thank you so much, Architect Sylvester, for that presentation. So we've tackled architecture and planning in the time that we're having transitions in the new normal. So let's go with the open forum.
From John Ray Briones, is it likely that some of our design standards, especially the area per person, be changed after this pandemic? If likely so, the importance of the architect should be magnified in the revision of our laws where these standards are regulated. Of course, actually, this is the first time na nangyari of this unprecedented scale. Before kasi, when we studied influenza virus, yung mga tao, they were sent outside to breathe fresh air. Yun lang solusyon nila dati. Ngayon, dumadaming tao eh. We are more compact na. Medyo dense na yung mga spaces natin. Dati kasi, maluluwag yung mga lugar. There are plenty of open spaces. Ngayon, iba ng senaryo. So, I agree with you. It has to be revisited, the building codes, no, regarding those the guidelines for the minimum area. Kasi ang sabi sa National Building Code, no, habitable rooms should not be less than 6 square meters. Habitable rooms. At least 3 meters ang longer side. At least 2 meters ang shorter side. Yan yung criteria niya. Yan. So I agree with you. It has to be revisited. Honestly, what I presented earlier were all considerations to be used in the design. Kasi ang nakita natin before siguro sa mga previous presentations by other architects are actual projects na, yung post-pandemic response na, yung mga pasyentes ang dinadala. But here, we're trying to be as comprehensive as possible. No? Ang tip ko lang dito is unidirectional ang hangin. Yun lagi, yung hangin, unidirectional palagi. Ang circulation, yun ang importante is the circulation routes, tsaka yung direction ng hangin natin. Yun ang kailangang kontrolin.
So we have another question here. Should MERV 13 be implemented in airports, sir? Thank you.
MERV, kailangan po. Ang minimum sa mga hospital, ang MERV natin sa mga bahay, 8 lang. Dapat i-revisit siya. No? Kasi wala pa sa architectural, meron tayong architectural code, if you're aware with that. Kasi meron tayong National Building Code. Ang architectural code, palabas pa lang. Meron na tayo, palabas pa lang. Ang meron lang kasi tayo is the generic code, yung pinaka-Bible for engineers and architects, the National Building Code. It has to be updated po. Yung MERV 13 na sinasabi natin. Hospital 13. Sabi po, ang dapat po, MERV 13, minimum sa hospitals, increase po siya. Sa mga bahay, lalo na sa mga condo, kailangan talaga, pag gumagamit ng aircon, gumagamit na rin ng mga MERV filters din. Dapat higher than MERV 8. But again, consult your mechanical engineer kasi the higher the MERV, ang issue naman doon, yung flow ng hangin, baka mag-double time, mag-function yung makina, baka mag-wear and tear. Kasi sobrang liliit na ng mga butas that can give more resistance sa hangin na dadaan kasi medyo masinsin ang ating mga filter. So it is a case-to-case basis po. You have to balance both.
Okay, another one. If plastic will have a greater or more hours of virus accumulation, is there any material that can be used to replace plastic, which is also a transparent or maybe used as a barrier and have a lesser hours of virus habitation?
Probably if you want to have there should be a coating product. Kung talagang di may iwasan ng plastic, no, na clear, dapat ang i-develop ngayon yung coating to be more efficient. Pipinturahan mo siya. Yun ang dapat ang i-develop. Kasi plastic is a universal stuff na nakita natin. Kasi you can use it for skylight, yung mga partitions. Glass, pwede rin sana. Kasong glass kasi, hindi siya energy efficient. Pag manufacturing glass, hindi siya sustainable. energy intensive ang glass kasi pag nagmamanufacture ng glass naman in terms of sustainability. Ang wala pang kapalit sa plastic talaga, honestly, wala pa. Kung gusto mo ng may lighting, dapat talaga lilinisin talaga siya muna for the meantime. Or coating. Pwede siyang sprayan. That chemical na i-coat doon, that will repel. Doon papasok yung nanotechnology natin. Kasi again, this disease, this pandemic is developing. Wala pa talaga ngayong wala pa ngayon yung mga products na nagre-respond dito. Meron piece of product presentation before, yung filter, yung air cleaning filter, no, air purifier ng isang kwarto, no? Tinanong yung supplier, di ko na babanggitin ko anong supplier 'yon. Meron na ba kayong rating to that for that? Sabi wala pa. Even though they claim na they can filter, no, yung pathogens so forth, wala pa silang certification. Dapat i-test muna. So everything we have right now is fluid, is developing pa, no? Pero yung pinaka-basic talaga na consideration is yung circulation flow natin, unidirectional sana kung pwede. Yung space per person tsaka yung airflow. Yun po.
For the last question from Mr. Briones, what can we do as architects, which are most private practicing entity, to push through or formulate a public policy that can mandate proper planning, especially for housing, to prevent or minimize the spread of pandemic?
It's a good question, actually. I'm currently the chair for Balangkasan. I'm currently the vice chair for UAP Legislation and Codes. So if you wish to participate, actually, architectural code may draft na, no? I suggest you become part of UAP Legislation and Codes. Nandun yung chairman kasi umatin siya ng Blue Ribbon Hearing Committee sa Congress about architectural code. I suggest you be involved with the I'm sure yung architectural code na ilalabas, di pa yata nilalabas, no? Baka pwede pang ihabol yung mga COVID-19 provisions so that to enable a more sanitized, more a healthier airflow sa paligid natin. That's one way that you can have a voice, no, sa ganitong usapin.
Yes. Thank you so much, and don't forget to like SCG and Mariwasa Facebook page. Thank you so much, Architect Kenny, for making time and sharing your valuable insights.
Thank you.
For sure, our attendees have learned a lot in terms of architecture and planning, especially that we're making a shift into the new normal.
Of course, our attendees, UAP Manila Archizonian Chapter will also be providing certificates for this webinar within the week. Then just check it out on your email. Also, please answer the evaluation form that we will also send via email, and you can get a chance to win a SCG Mariwasa voucher. So we will choose from for those who will be answering the evaluation form, we'll be choose who will get the voucher. I think that's it for today, Camille.
Yes, thank you so much po, and don't forget to like the SCG and Mariwasa Facebook page and get updates for the part 2 of Contalk Lab 3. Again, I am your host.
And I am Katrina. This is Contalk.
And this is Contalk by SCG Mariwasa
Web Series Part 1.
Part 1. Thank you everyone, and stay safe.
Stay safe.